consultants and strategists that specialised in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
She lays it off Teresa Pilates. It's an absolute peach. Ayres driving. What a hit from Melina Ayres. Wow. And Sam Kerr has a hat-trick.
And welcome back for a second hour, but a new show, Radio Dub with me, Pokuah Frimpong, and my co-host today, as always, Josh Parrish. Josh, intro music's still amazing. We've got two amazing guests coming on. We had a great weekend of A-League Women's Football. Are you excited to be here?
I am as fired up as if my name was Cannon.
Ooh, that's a good little drop there. You know, of the.
That's the way why they pay me the big bucks.
Exactly. You know,
Lol.
Josh, we have two amazing guests. First guest that's going to come on just shortly, hopefully, is Melbourne Victory #1 keeper Casey Dumont, who team had a good win on the weekend.
Oh yeah.
And it's good to have her back. You know, last season we didn't have her in the league after her, her ACL, which is really, really upsetting. But she's back and she's playing some great football. Are you excited to have her on?
Fitter than ever,
yes.
As she's been proudly displaying on her Instagram. I'm keen to ask her about her exercise regimen because I think I could learn a thing or two. And
me too. My gym membership, they keep charging me and I keep not going. It's very disappointing.
There's a gym in the building.
I know.
Have you ever been? It's mysterious. It's difficult to find.
I will be honest. I live 45 minutes away from this place.
I think the only person who uses it is Lockie Flanagan, as he munches down on a bag of spinach every night. And then
that's because Lockie's healthier than all of us.
This is inside F&R that you don't need to know about. I'm keen for this show. I was very entertained by the the Melbourne Derby on the weekend. I thought it was a fantastic match and a really good advertisement for the league. And Melbourne Victory will be very happy that they got away with 3 points after they struggled in that first half.
I was at the game, and for the first 60 or so minutes, Melbourne City were dominant. They played some really good football. But unfortunately for them, they got a little bit tired because they're a really young team. But Victory showed their class by holding on and putting pressure on City and having the X factor, which is Lynn Williams, having that kind of a player come on and she wasn't even, the funny thing is, I remember her doing this run and she wasn't even running at full speed, but she was quicker than everybody else. So I'm scared when she goes, it's my fourth game. I'm just gonna bolt to the goals. Come on.
I mean, she was barely getting out of second gear and just cruising past people. Chidiac straight into the starting 11. Yep. I'm a self-confessed Alex Chidiac stan. But
you're the president of the fan club, Josh.
I might be. But she was stifled a little bit in the first half, really came to life in the second, and that assist and that run I thought was magic.
I think it was really, her and Kyra Cooney-Cross, when they find that little bit of their partnership evolves and gets a little bit stronger, you're going to have that midfield be one of the best in the competition, if not the best. But you know what? On the phone right now, Josh, we might have one of the best keepers in the A-League, Casey Dumont from Melbourne Victory. Casey, thanks for joining us on the show. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm very well, thank you.
You had a good win on the weekend, so I'm assuming your week has been good because of that, and you maybe like a little bit of extra celebration with the team because, good win in the derby?
Yeah, it was a fantastic win against, obviously, City. It's always good to get the bragging rights early. Not too much celebrations. We've got a quick turnaround, so we're just getting the body right. Like we had a training session, recovery session yesterday. Today we had off, and then we're back into it again tomorrow for a full set of training to then head up to Brisbane. So not too much celebration because it's only early in the season, but yes, it's very nice to get that first derby win, and Melbourne's ours at the moment.
Tell us how you felt on the final whistle, because that was not a straightforward game for Victory whatsoever.
No, so I think it was a big sigh of relief from the final whistle because obviously, there was a lot going on. We scored all 3 goals. Amy Jackson didn't have a very great game. She scored the own goal and copped the red card, but without her getting that red card, that who knows what that opportunity could have turned into for City. And then, also too, like, the heat, I think, affected both teams, and obviously, like, the nerves and everything and the build-up before the game and then during the game, because it is such a big derby game. Afterwards, it's just like, oh, my God, it's over. But then it's like, yes, how exciting. We actually won. We get the bragging rights to begin.
We saw you go down a little bit early in the first half. I was sitting in the media box and I was like, oh, has she gone down because of the heat? Was the heat really affecting you guys out there?
No, so I didn't go down for the heat. I went down for something else. It was just more a fact of, obviously, Melbourne's weather's all over the place. And the week leading up, it was cold. And then the one day it's nice and sunny is the day we have a game. So, yeah, I think it did take a toll a bit in the players, especially if you see the last 20 minutes, you see a lot of the City players go down with cramps and you see a few of our players stretching it out and everything like that. So I think we're not used to it yet because summer has not been a normal summer. So it's just, the heat was there, but it wasn't too bad as what it's usually been like this time of year.
That injury to Kayla Morrison is obviously a big hole to fill. Now, Amy Jackson with the red card will be suspended, and I don't know if she was favourite to play centre-back again after coughing their own goal. As you say, that red card probably took one for the team. It's not as bad as it looks on paper. But how is the squad planning to fill that absence? Because, you're so stacked in other areas, the forwards, the central midfielders.
That's a very good question. We have video analysis tomorrow morning before training, and I'm sure Jeff and Gareth and Katie, the coaching staff, have a plan in sight, and we will see it then. At the moment, we're very in the unknown to see what he will do. But in saying that, we have Emma Rhodes, who is also can play centre-back. She plays midfield. We have a very versatile, like, look at Courtney Nevin, for instance. She played centre-back for Matildas, so she might slot in there. And one of our, like, Leah Privatelli or Mindy Barbieri, if you looked at our previous games, they've dropped back into the fullback roles as well. So that's the best thing about our squad is no player just plays one position. And especially in preseason too, Jeff was very open into the players, like, make sure you know not just your position, you know about 2 or 3 other positions. So I have all the belief in our squad that whoever does step into that role will get the job done.
What's it like as a keeper seeing one of your key defenders go out? And does the leadership roles kind of change when a player like Kayla, who is also your captain, when she goes down?
Well, that's the best thing about having, like, obviously Kayla's our captain and she's been phenomenal. Like, her actions, even straight after getting injured, she's there at every training session. If you have a look at photos, she was there for one of the first at the game on the weekend. Like, she's been amazing. She's still our captain. She's still one of the best leaders we have in our squad. But that was the reason why Jeff also has the leadership group, because they are there in case, but also Kayla's not just the captain. She also is one of those roles in the leadership group. So now at the moment it's just Leah who stepped in. Also Melissa Maisel's there. And I know also too, like, Amy Jackson is also there too. Like, she's one of the backups of the backups. Like, but then if you have a look, like, we've got so many leaders on the field, so it's phenomenal that anyone can step up and it's great. But yeah, losing Kayla was, I think you see in the first 5 minutes after she comes off, we were a bit of a shambles. But yeah, when we had the halftime chat, like, straight away Kayla was one of the first going, girls, we just do our normal plan. I'm still here. Like, it was, it hurts, but she's still around. So that's the best part about it. The spirit's phenomenal with her.
Well, that's good to hear, because we were absolutely shattered when we heard here on Radio Dub, and, like, the naturalisation committee that we've got going.
I'm the president, Josh. I want it to be known. I'm flying the flag for her to become an Australian citizen. Come
disappointing on. Because we're really hoping that she'd, sign some papers and play for Australia, but that's a story for another day. Casey, you mentioned the depth in the squad and the versatility of all those players. And one thing that struck me is just Victory's been signing new players out of nowhere. Lynn Williams joining, Alex Chidiac comes in on loan, 1 training session, straight in the starting 11. What's the competition for places like at training at the moment? It must be electric.
Yeah, it's huge. Every training session, we're all friends off the pitch and have good banter, but once Jeff gets that session going, it's on. It really is. It's on like Donkey Kong, as cliche as that is. It's when we do shooting and cage and 6v6 and stuff, the intensity is very high, which is great because obviously the higher it is, the better we get as players, but also to that drive to really everyone's fighting for a spot. No matter, even if you played on the weekend, you got to fight again this week to get that spot again. So it is great. And then the random signings of people coming in, it just makes the level even better because like we heard whispers, and then it was just like, oh, now they're here. All right, wow, training's got to step up even more. One, because obviously like they bring that high intensity and professionalism, but also two, like we want to show like, well, you've got to step up just as much as we are.
Well, you've had to come. This is your first season back after doing your ACL a season ago. What's that like when you have to fight for your position again, but also in the meantime have to get yourself physically fit and ready to play football at that high standard?
Firstly, it was Achilles.
Oh, sorry, I do apologise.
That's okay. No, it was fantastic because like when Jeff contacted me, because obviously there was Gabby, there's Maisels, and there's myself. When Jeff initially contacted me, like, would you be open to fighting it out? Gabby hadn't announced she was pregnant then, so it was like, you know what, this is great. This is some competition. Yeah, let's do it. And it's all made us better because, as I said, then Maisels was like, oh, no, Maisels is good enough to be playing. So that stepping in, coming into preseason, it was phenomenal to know, like, when I was coming back from my injury, it was like, I really need to work hard to make sure that when we do go into preseason, I'm not behind anyone, that it is even par, and then it's just we fight it out every day, every session, every game that we can. Unfortunately, Maisels broke her hand, which I guess I'm very thankful for that in the case of I got to get that upper hand. But like no one loves a player getting injured. Like I felt so sorry for her because she had been working hard. But yeah, now like she's back and it's the intensity is so good that every session you walk away like, oh my God, that was so hard, but you know you've gotten better from it because the competition's there with like every session, but also to, you know, it's just benefiting you as a squad member and a player that you're going to help the team later on as well.
Casey, having a look at your Instagram here, and it seems like you've really worked on your fitness, obviously, in terms of coming back from the injury, but also just, you know, being fitter than you've ever been. I'm just curious, like, what's your secret?
Hard bloody work.
Damn, that wasn't the answer I was hoping for. But anyway.
Unfortunately, there's no shortcut. And don't get me wrong, there was blood, sweat and tears that whole time coming back from injury and making sure that I dropped the weight and everything. But, you know what, I wouldn't change it for anything. But, yeah, it really is. You just got to dig deep and just keep going, even on those days you don't want to, or those days where you want to have a big bloody pig out, that you've got to really get that mental game and go, no, look at the bigger picture.
How are you feeling on the field now? I mean, your words here, half the person, twice the player. I mean, it must feel different when you're diving and your agility and so forth.
Everything. Even not on the pitch, just in everyday life. Like, I've never been happier, like physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever you want to put it in. Like, I kind of wish I did it sooner, but obviously you live and you learn. But yeah, no, just in everyday things as well as, on the pitch, it helps with recovery. It helps with being able to, the endurance and, like preseason was hard. I came in, even though I worked hard, I came in unfit because obviously I was in Sydney lockdown, so I didn't get to touch a soccer ball. So getting on the field, it was different. But because I had done those little hard works and dropped the weight and everything in Sydney, coming here, it was like it only took me maybe a few sessions rather than a good 3 or 4 weeks. So massively, like I said, I wish I did it sooner. But, you know, I've done it now and that's what matters. And, I've never been happier. I'm loving life. I'm loving being able to play again. I think gratitude's my biggest thing. When you're out injured, you don't realise how much you miss it until you can't do it. So that's what, it feels good. And even on hard days, hard training sessions, it's so much easier to recover when you're a lot fitter.
I mean, it's half the battle is the mental battle, right? And being that grateful for being out there. I mean, maybe you needed to go through that to reach this point in your career.
Yeah. There's been a few of those moments.
I wanted to ask about Jeff Hopkins and if he set any individual goals for you, because we were talking to Melina Ayres a couple of weeks ago and she says she has to get 5 tap-ins this season. And the rest of the goals will flow because we know she can hit them from outside the box, no problem. Are there any individual goals that he set you or that you've set yourself for this year?
Yeah, so obviously Gabby set the bar high last season with the 8 clean sheets. So obviously I haven't started off too great, if I'm honest. But,
hey, it's hard when your own centre-backs are powering them past you.
This is the problem with professional athletes. They set these high standards. I feel like being top, like winning 2 games at the start of the season, I would be buzzing. I wouldn't even, you know what? I don't mind.
Kua's checking out for the rest of the year, but that's why she's not the goalkeeper for Melbourne Victory. Casey...
we're our worst critics, 100%. 100%. Like I said, we're absolutely stoked we got the wins, but there was about 6 or 7 of us straight after the game. We're like, we could have done this better. We need to do this better. Like, straight away, we do the reflection. And, yeah, we're so hard on ourselves. But, yeah, goal-wise, it's purely wanting to complete a season, start every game. Jeff and myself did have a chat, and it's more the case of me being a mentor to the squad because obviously I've got a lot of experience being in the now A-League, I should say.
See,
Women's A-League.
Is that a coin? See, we have this rule when we say the name wrong of the league, we have to put a coin in the
metaphorical swear jar. So that's,
I don't know.
That's our first player swear jar.
Okay, I'll have to donate to it. But hey, it was W League back then.
It was. That's fair.
That's true. Referring to the past, that is a caveat. Actually, I raised that in my own defence last week. In fairness, jumped the gun.
That is true. Sorry, Casey.
Yeah, so there's lots of little goals. Like Jeff did do the individual chats with everyone, and yeah, the main one is that I'm there for the squad as well as I perform like the previous seasons I was there, because obviously I had a great season then. So it's just he was just like wants me to repeat that, but as well as keep playing while I'm happy and loving it and improving on every little aspect that I've got. That because obviously you're only as good as your next game. So it's just making sure I reflect and get better each time and help the squad as best I can.
I know there's obviously a lot of A-League women's players who are they're not only professional footballers, but they do work outside of it. I've seen that you're a nurse on the outside of football. What's that like juggling both things at the same time?
I have done it previous seasons and it's not easy. You've got to find a good boss, that's for sure. But this season I've been very lucky that Victory is supporting me enough that I don't have to nurse. But also my job in Sydney, my boss was phenomenal that she's did the whole, chase your dreams, soccer's not forever. So I do not want to stop you. You'll always have the job here when you come back. So I've had, obviously I've got Victory and Jeff who are phenomenal in supporting me if I did want to do nursing. And then I've also got a great boss in nursing in Sydney that is all like, no, chase your dreams. It's, you only live once, things like that. So I've been great that I don't have to do it this season. But previous seasons, it's been tough. But there's other girls too. Like we've got teachers, we've got girls who've got full-time running businesses, things like that. And I think it's the first 2 or 3 weeks in pre-season or even during the season as well, because obviously once games get involved, it's a bit different. They find it the toughest. But then your body gets used to it and you're so used to being busy all the time that when you do get downtime, you're like, you're twiddling your fingers like, what do I do now? But yeah, it's very different. I don't know, I think it's normal, but I guess others think how you do both, but you just do it. Bills don't stop.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's funny talking to some of the men's NPL players that we have on, and Ryan Scott, who's since made the grade in the A-League, another goalkeeper, was saying the A-League's easy compared to getting up at crack of dawn to work as a labourer and then having a 8:30 p.m. kickoff at Summer Street and trying to keep your eyes open in the second half. So it's it must be a privilege to be able to finally do this full time.
Yeah, definitely living life. I'm absolutely loving it. The not having to wake up at 4 a.m. to make a 5 a.m. shift or a 6 a.m. shift is fantastic. Instead, I get to sleep in till about 6:37 and then go to training. And yeah, it's very different. But I'm definitely not complaining. That's for sure.
So there are players like you who've juggled ridiculous commitments outside of football while continuing to perform on the park and seem to have their lives like regimented to within a minute of themselves. And then there's Kyra Cooney-Cross, who I see on Maya Maikovsky's Instagram has managed to set fire to a bag of popcorn, the caption being, just as well you're good at football. So maybe your teammates need a few tips.
They're young. They've got a lot to learn. But yeah, no, I saw that and I had a good giggle. It doesn't surprise me that happened. But you know, I'm sure they had a great time. I think they went to Polly's family's holiday house down in the Ocean Grove or something like that, and it looked amazing. Like when you got a day off, you gotta enjoy that stuff. Like that's what memories are made of. Like, so, they look like they had a good time, and I'm sure Kyra will be copping a bit of banter from Maya and the girls for a while with burning that popcorn, because that's one of the easiest things to cook.
I can't imagine how that smelled. My goodness. I mean, sometimes, you know, the creative geniuses, they've got their minds on other things, and they're a bit absent-minded. But we better let you go, Casey. We've kept you on for far too long. Pokuah, you got one more?
I've got one more. Every time we have a player on, I want to ask, because I'm trying to build the profile of, you know, A-League women's players so people learn more about these players and who to watch out for. Who's a player from the Victory and outside of the Victory do you think that A-League women's fans and just football fans in general should be looking out for the rest of the season?
Can you say all of them? Like every player has different qualities, and yeah, that's a hard one to pick. I think the A-League women's like Instagram young Matildas girls, like it's really good to see that Matildas are scouting younger and younger girls, because their quality, like the quality from such a young age has grown so much that they're able to live and breathe it and get better and better. So yeah, I will definitely have to say our youngsters, I think our average age of squad is 19 or 20. So like you've got Kyra, you've got Courtney Nevin, you've got Maya, like you've got all these younger girls. We've got young Murph, who came through our academy. Like there's just so much potential, and the best part is they've got so much more growing to do, and they're already performing ridiculously well. So that's probably the Victory girls. But then, if you look at all the other teams, like I think obviously like you got Princess and Remy in Sydney. You got Bryony in Western Sydney Wanderers. You got Rosie Galea. You've got Newcastle have a few youngsters. And it's great that they've got Emily Van Egmond they signed, because obviously she'll be able to mentor a lot of those youngsters as well. Brisbane Roar has so many youngsters. I know their average age is really young too. I think it's like 18 or 19 as well. So there's so many all over the league that it's about bloody time, if I'm allowed to say that.
I think you are. You certainly are allowed to say that.
Younger girls that it's like, look out for all of them, because look how much soccer's changed and how much they're already on notice. Just wait until give it another season or two. It's going to be, especially with the World Cup coming, those names are going to be well known very much with everyone, and even overseas as well. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those younger girls get overseas gigs real soon too. Absolutely.
Thank you, Casey, for joining us. And hopefully the Victory can continue having such an amazing season, and you can get a few clean sheets along the way.
That's the plan.
That is the plan. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be heading to a break, and then right after the break we'll have Cannon Clough. We're not sure yet, from Brisbane Roar.
Cannon Clough, I'm going with.
Okay, we'll figure it. We'll ask her.
It's hard with the new players. Exactly. We'll confirm the pronunciation and then set the precedent going forwards for the season. Exactly. Casey, thank you so much for joining us. Absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good night. Bye.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website, dkpco.com.au, or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
We are more than engineers. We are more than project managers. We are more than surveyors. We are more than infrastructure specialists. We are more than planners. So, who are we? We are problem solvers, providing the highest quality service and results. We are a team of skilled professionals, focused on customer needs and outcomes. We are 23 years of industry experience, adhering to the highest safety standards. We are Melbourne, and we are right across Victoria. We are the Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions. Lanco Group. We are more than you realise, and we are ready to partner with you.
She lays it off Teresa Politis. It's an absolute peach. Ayres driving. What a hit from Melina Ayres. Wow. And Sam Kerr has a hat-trick.
And welcome back to Radio Dub. We just finished off with Casey Dumont just before we went on ad break. Now we've got another guest. Brisbane's Roar's new signing, defender, Cannon Clough, from America. I was stuffing the name up. Cannon, did I say it properly?
Yeah, you said it perfectly, actually, which is a surprise. That doesn't normally happen.
You know what it is? It's because I've got a tricky name, so I make sure that I get other people's right, and I get the pronunciation just perfect. What can I say?
I'm sure we're butchering yours all the time.
Cannon, thank you for joining us. I read that this was your first professional contract signing with the Brisbane Roar this season. What was that like at the start of the season when they called you up and they said, we'd love to have you on the team? And what was that feeling like when you signed that contract?
Yeah, it was really exciting for me. Obviously, first professional contract, and for it to be with the Roar, who I've kind of, been on the edge of for a few years now, and just like near misses the past couple of years, and then to finally get it, it was huge. It was special. It's why I've stayed over here. It's why I've been away from my family for 2 years. So yeah, it was really special.
Cannon, we understand you come from a bit of a sporting family. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes. I grew up with two brothers, so our house was a boxing ring. No. But yeah, we do. We have a sporting family. Both my parents did sports growing up. Mom ran track. Dad played football, ice hockey, rugby, you name it, basketball. And then same with my brothers. My older brother is a phenomenal ice hockey player and also lacrosse player, which I know isn't super huge over here. And then my younger brother, same thing, really good lacrosse player. They both played American football, gridiron football, and yeah, quite athletic. So lucky on the genes.
See, your brothers have picked some of the most violent and physical sports out. Sure, how were you in the house being like, you know what, guys? This is my household. I don't care that you guys play these sports. I am the queen. I rule this.
I don't know. I think it definitely didn't come easy. My older brother and I were probably more competitive than most. For the first probably 10 years of my life, it was, survival mode. That now we are best friends. But yeah, no, now things have flipped and they are my biggest supporters in sport. And they've both kind of retired from organized sports, and just still very active and athletic, but definitely they've got my back as far as support, which is cool.
So, Cannon, you came through college soccer in the US, not just anywhere, but at the prestigious athletic program at North Carolina. You're a Tar Heel, which I think in Australia we mainly associate that with the basketball and with Michael Jordan. But what's the soccer program like over there?
The soccer program is actually, it starts to rival the basketball a bit. Anson Dorrance, my coach, is just a really well-versed guy. He's had 22 national championships.
Just
in his
say that a little
career.
bit louder for
Yeah.
the people in the back, honestly. Come on.
So, unfortunately, the 2 years I spent there, I did not receive one of those. We did have the ACC championship against our biggest rivals, which was pretty sweet. But yeah, it's also a women's soccer school, which is cool to be able to say. And our coach, Anson, and the men's basketball coach were always really good friends, and they shared a lot of the similar ideas and tactics as far as how to motivate players. So, and our coach would tell us all the time that everything had to be competitive, everything had to be written down, stats were written down, because that's how, if you do that in training, then you want to win games, and there was definitely something to it.
Do you think that's something that's really helped the women's football in the States get a lot bigger because they have that college program, and women's football there's a bigger light on women's football over there as opposed to in Australia where it's just growing gradually with the Matildas getting better. Do you think having a college program that is really consistent and competitive allows the national divisions to get better?
Absolutely. I think that just the structure and being in an environment where you're just pushed to be your best all the time, whether that's in the classroom or on the field, like you're expected to be at your top in both, really. So it's pretty cool to have that full-time exposure. You know, you're on campus, you're always with your teammates. I think that's one of the biggest things is, you know, if you don't have the living in the dorms or living in houses with each other and spending, you know, all your meals together, that's kind of like a one-up on different programs because they, I feel like over here we get to see our teammates, we get to hang out with our teammates. We do have meals with our teammates, but we don't live, eat, breathe right next to them all the time. So it's definitely a bit different in the college system.
So, Cannon, how does the move to Australia come about? How are you possibly persuaded to travel halfway around the world to play, what was it, NPL first?
It's the sun in Queensland, Josh. That's what it is. Come on, it's the sun in Queensland.
Gosh, the weather, the people, yes, the waves, everything. But it was the NPL for me. That's who first reached out to me and dangled opportunity in front of my face. And I had just graduated or was about to graduate from Carolina, and I said, yeah, I'm not done with soccer. Let's do this. And then it actually fell through the first time I was talking to the coach. He ended up leaving the club, and a new coach came in. So as soon as that happened, he was on to me, and then we got it sorted, and I was over the next year. With that being said, I knew that the W League was the goal, but the NPL is a huge, really amazing pathway for that. So.
Well, we're seeing more and more female players get opportunities in the A-League from the NPL ranks. I mean, I think it helped a little bit when we had this exodus of Matildas players over to Europe, and it opened up a few roster spots here and there. But it used to be, I think, quite tough for players to get noticed. But now we've got all these games live streamed at that level. So, how does Brisbane Roar get in touch with you? How do they start following your progress? Did you know that you were on their radar?
Yes, I did, because, like I said, that was my goal. Even my first year here, I introduced myself to the coach, and I just said, I want to play for you. And the coaches, at least for the Brisbane Roar, have all been kind of local and in the scene. So if you're involved in soccer and if you're playing week in and week out, and like you said, they stream all the games, so everything's super competitive, and they have access to whatever they want to see. So lucky for me, I got to be around those coaches that were getting to make the decisions on the team.
Well, I have no doubt the reason you got onto the Brisbane Roar's radar is because your NPL side, winning is a part of the fabric. Winning after winning after, Josh, you might have said, I don't understand how a team can be so dominant. Cannon, how do you build that kind of a culture in an NPL side?
Wow. Yeah, this past year was a really special one for us. And I think just what you said, the culture. Our team this year was so close, just best friends off the field. And then at training, we all had the mentality of, let's work really hard. Let's put in the hard tackles, the extras. The amount of girls that would show up early or stay late at training was really cool to see. That wasn't here my first or a bit of my second year here. And then just to see, especially the younger girls, be super excited about the opportunity to play, even in the MPL, because we had quite a few young girls on our side. And just, I think the mentality for us and the culture was just really special. It actually reminded me of what I had back at Carolina, which was really fun to be a part of as well.
All right, so let's talk about your new club and your new team now. Brisbane Roar, storied team in both the men's and the women's in the A-League. But around here at FNR, we're card-carrying members of the Katrina Gorry fan club in particular. And to see her come back after she's had a kid, I mean, how is she looking in training? Is she tearing it up again?
She has not skipped a beat. Even today, we redid our testing for our fitness test. And we were talking about it after training, did everyone do better? And she goes, yeah, I shaved 30 seconds off my time. Jeez. And her first time wasn't even bad. And I was like, this girl is something special. And just to have her and Harper around, and it's super motivating to, because you said earlier, a lot of the Matildas have left, gone overseas, done different things, but to be able to still have her and her experience in the setup, and then bringing that extra flavor of being a mom is just, I think it's inspiring for all of us. We all really look up to her, and it's cool.
Sorry, just picking up on something there. Does the baby make appearances at training? Is that what you're telling us?
Oh, yeah. She doesn't miss a training. Her attendance is perfect.
You've got to start them young. You've got to start them young. Is that right, Cannon? Honestly, we're trying to have the best female footballers in the world. So if you start them at 0, by the time they're 10, they're tearing it up like Messi. It's easy.
The odds for Harper to be the best footballer in the world are high. She doesn't miss a training, and she's got the cutest little Nikes from all her aunties all over the world, aunties, you guys call them. She's just the cutest thing ever, and she doesn't cry. So she's one of those babies that you just want around, because you don't even, sometimes you forget she's around because she's just so cool and fun. But it'll be cool to watch her grow up.
I think that's how we ended up with Mary Fowler here in Australia. So that's you start them young. It's a good strategy. I mean,
come on, Josh.
World Cup 2043. Watch out, Harper Gorry.
Easy. She'll be tearing it up. Honestly,
we need to make her a little jersey.
Exactly. Come on, she'll be like next. She'll be the assistant coach for the next game. Just be there. The only time you'll hear her cry is when they score a goal. They'll just be her celebration.
That is so awesome.
Speaking of the Brisbane Roar, the season hasn't started the way obviously you guys would have liked. What have you seen from the team so far that you guys could improve on, and that you have even liked that you can continue going forward?
I think the drive from all the players and the personalities, we have a great group of personalities within the team, which that's not something you can really coach or, at this point in most of our lives, our personalities are set. So it's just about kind of the teething phase and speeding that process up, I think, just as far as us getting to know each other really fast, getting to know how each other play, because Gareth actually brought it up the other day. We had a little bit of a leadership meeting, and he said, guys, I just want to remind you, 2 people on the field from our starting lineup were in the team last year. And we all just kind of sat and said, you know what, you're right. Which, no excuses. But it's pretty cool that we have such a new team, and there is a lot of potential there, I think. So
You've said that you've only had 2 players who were on the team last year. How do you, and you've spoken now about how close and nice the bond is with the group. How do you build that so quickly to have a team that's, the morale stays high and everybody's going, you know what, I trust you. We can play good football. We might not be winning right now, but I trust that we're going to get better.
Yeah, I think it must start at the top. I think Gareth coming in, also his first year, he has just been super organized, very transparent with us, really encouraging and inspiring, but also, you know, when he's speaking, you know who's kind of the leader, and he's taken it upon himself to earn everyone's respect really fast, which is sometimes I think can be a hard thing to do. But he's done that, and same with the girls, really. Like, I think, you know, we'd like it to happen a little faster, and we definitely want to win games, but I do think that everyone's kind of bought in, and the fact that we don't have any massive egos or things like that within the team is pretty cool, because everyone's just there to work hard and get better and grow. So the growth mindset, and with Gareth being the way he is as a leader, I think it's really going to be good for us in the end.
So big game coming up on Saturday, Cannon. Doesn't get any easier for you. 5:05 p.m. kickoff. Home game at Redcliffe against the top of the table Melbourne Victory. How are you preparing for this fixture? Because obviously Victory, the star-studded team in the comp, most people's pick for the championship in pre-season, and you know they've started with a couple of wins. It's got to be a tough one to prepare for this game.
Absolutely. I think it's pretty exciting. Obviously, we have respect for the opponent, but I think we're going to prepare like we do every week, and like anyone should, is just worry about ourselves and control what we can control, and then the rest will come. And if we just play together, communicate, do the job that we were set out to do, I think it could be a pretty exciting one. Like, you always want to play the top team, because then if and when you knock them off, then everything changes. So we're excited. The morale is good at training, so it'll be a fun one.
So you're just going to focus on playing your own game and not worry too much about adjusting for the opponent, or do you think there'll be some sneaky tactical tweaks from Gareth during the week?
Well, obviously, no, it's not the first game of the season anymore. Everybody's got film on each other, so I think, you know, we've already started the tactical stuff for the week. Gareth is extremely organized. Someone call it OCD. But he's ready, and he has passed on information to us that is extremely valuable, extremely important, areas where he thinks, you know, we should attack and what we should do in certain areas. So I definitely think we have got it. Yeah, we've got it down. So we just got to do our job.
Well,
make it happen.
I have no doubt that they will figure it out, because I've watched the first two games, and you guys have actually played really good football, just have been a little bit unlucky in scoring some goals and, you know, finishing it out, but your football has actually been really, really good. I want to ask, this is the first season for A-League women's fans to see you. What type of football, what type of defender are you, when, like, how have you modelled your game as a player?
I like to be, in defense, obviously, you want to keep a clean sheet. That has not happened for us yet. But personally, I just want to dominate my area, and then be able to help the teammates around me and the teammates all over the field in their areas as well. And I guess I want to be the girl that never stops working and that helps make it happen for her team. So.
Absolutely. Well, Cannon, before we let you go, we usually ask everybody who comes on the show, who is a A-League women's player that they should be looking out for the rest of the season?
Oh, is that in our team?
Yeah,
could
in
be your team, could be another player you've seen in the competition so far.
Anyone.
I mean, it might be unfair. You haven't been here that long, but we're trying to improve, to explain this, we're trying to improve the knowledge base of the A-League women. We're trying to bring new fans on board. So who stood out to you, either watching on TV, on the pitch, or in your squad, that we should keep an eye on?
I think, you know, personally, I'm looking forward to this upcoming game, and I don't think she's going to be here for the entire season. I'm not confident in that, but obviously Lynn Williams is someone to look out for. But I think in my team, we've got some very young weapons. What do I want to say?
I always put everybody on the spot. I feel like I should prep them and be like, guys, I will be asking you this. This is my fault. I always do this. I do apologize.
I love questions that put me on the spot. I like to be a little uncomfortable. But to be honest, I think people should look out for Marielle. I have the opportunity to play with her in the Lions setup, and also now, fortunately, Roar. And she's just she is an absolute workhorse. And with her futsal background, she's pretty cheeky on the pitch.
Is it because she's Brazilian?
So, it could. Maybe I think so. Like, she definitely grew up with a football at her feet. But yeah, and she's just all around good teammate. She's gonna, even if she's at one end of the field, she's gonna run to the other end and make sure she helps out. Her job's never done, so she's always a player to look out for, and she's fun to watch. Like, she gets the crowd going when she does little chips, little fakes, just little footwork, and everyone loves an exciting player to watch. So it would have to be Marielle for me.
Well, I mean, that's actually written into your contract. If you're a Brazilian player coming to play in the A-Leagues, you have to get the fans off their seats. Otherwise, we're shipping you off again. So just as well.
Exciting.
See, I feel like that's part of like a contract bonus. So she's got a bonus every time, the crowd gets on her feet and they clap for her.
Yeah, it's a bonus every nutmeg.
Exactly. Easy stuff.
Cannon, thank you.
If she got paid for nutmegs, wow.
Be the league's highest earner. Cannon, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck on the weekend against the Victory. We'll be watching. We'll see if you and Lynn Williams come up against one another.
They might actually. I was just
Americans.
looking at this. You guys might line up on the same side of the field.
I do believe that could happen. Yeah. So, got my work cut out for me, but I'm very excited.
Can't wait.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Nice talking to you, and hopefully I will talk to you again soon.
Absolutely.
Cannon Clough. I tell you what, it's an absolute travesty that the Oakley Cannons don't have an NPLW Victoria team because they could. Once upon a time, they could have signed her, and it would have been. Josh,
you know how I feel. It makes me, it hurts me. But Oakley Cannons, we are on the way to getting an A-League. We are on the way to getting an NPL women's side, so it's okay. It is coming.
It's in the works.
But
I feel like you might have missed the boat on Cannon Clough.
Yeah, we might have.
Maybe we can attract her to Victoria in the off-season.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
The dream isn't done.
But Josh, we've had some great guests on today.
Mm-hmm.
Casey, good vibes.
Yeah.
We haven't had a keep. This is my thing. This is what I was looking at who we've had on before. We had the strikers. You know what? Cool. It's fun. But now we got the defenders, and I feel like now we need some more established midfielders.
Are we going to assemble the radio dub 11 by the end of the season? Or maybe the full squad.
Full squad. We'll have some bench players. Easy, light stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we've had Mackenzie Hawkesby in the middle of the park.
Who's been amazing. Like, everybody's talking about Romy Seamerson and Princess Sabini and stuff like that.
Strikers always hog all the glory.
But Mackenzie has her passing has been next level, and I think she assisted one of the Remy's first goal on the weekend. She has been phenomenal, and we still got to see Melina get on the field. And then Chelsea Blissett said she'd be back in January, so it'd be good to see her on the field when she gets there.
Well, before we go, do you want to have a chat about some of the weekend's games? You mentioned Sydney. You mentioned Mackenzie Hawkesby standing out in their win. 2 derbies this weekend. We talked about the Melbourne derby. Didn't talk much about the Sydney derby. I thought this was pretty comfortable for Sydney FC. They took the lead early and sat on it. Never really looked in danger of this result flipping on its head.
I think one has to do with Sydney being, for me at the moment, they might be the best team in the league, because when I watched Victory play on the weekend and seeing how they struggled a little early with City and then seeing how comfortable Sydney were, like they have such a fluidity, and when they go forward, they score and they make sure they score well. And there's no doubts about it. But also, on the other side of the field, Western Sydney, the A-League women's season is a lot shorter, so the time for panic, it becomes a lot quicker. And I think in a game or two, if they don't start figuring it out what they're doing, just like the men's team, Carl Robinson's jobs, he's the warning bells starting to ring, they may start ringing on the women's side as well.
Yeah. I think Western Sydney have underperformed on the park for quite a while now in the women's competition, given how ambitious that club is.
And the amount of money and the amount of... They've got some of the best facilities in all the
They've got massive institutional advantages. They shouldn't be struggling like this across both comps.
I think they don't know. They don't know themselves. Like when I look at Sydney and I look at Victory and I even look at City, they know the type of football they want to play and they will play it for 90 minutes. They may get tired as City did on the weekend, but they will try all the time to press, to attack from the wings, and you will know what to expect. From when I watch Western Sydney play, I go, what type of football are we playing here? And as who's my brain, Manchester United new manager, what's his name again?
Ralph Rangnick.
Thank you, Ralph. He said, you can't be pregnant or half pregnant. Like it doesn't really work. And it's the same thing about the way Western are. They press sometimes and sometimes they don't press. I don't exactly know what it is they're doing.
You just distracted me and I started thinking about Harper Gorrie again and our next star.
Honestly, I'm telling you, Josh, easy. Matilda's captain, easy work for her.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Look, I think there's no coincidence that the two best teams in the competition are coached by two of the longest serving managers. And maybe that's a catch-22. Maybe the success means that they are long serving. But having a blueprint for Ante Juric and for Jeff Hopkins, two of the best coaches in the league, I think leads to a continuity on the park. And yes, they've had more consistent squads as well. But I think they're more able to integrate new players, which is always the challenge with this short turnaround A-League women's season. So as Cannon was reminding us, it takes time. It takes time to establish that blueprint. And maybe we need a little bit more technical direction at women's teams.
We do. Another game that happened in Sydney, Newcastle Jets, new signing for the team, but not new signing for women's football fans. One of the premier players for the Matildas, Emily Van Egmond, was back on the side and helped Newcastle a comfortable 5-1 victory over Wellington, who had a nice, happy, it wasn't excellent by any means, but they drew in their first game and maybe
the expectations are low for that team.
Expectations are low, but maybe they crashed back down to earth just a little bit after Newcastle showed them what a A-League women's side is meant to do to the new team.
Yeah, I mean, Van Egmond dominates at this level.
Absolutely.
And there's a reason that she was in the Women's Super League. So that's a massive signing. Even the week before they didn't look too bad against Sydney.
Exactly.
You were saying that they weren't easy beats. The scoreline didn't quite reflect it. But for Wellington, I think that might be slightly more reflective of how the season is going to go. But I'm just glad for them that they broke their duck and they scored one.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
If they lost a few in a row and they obviously had the draw, but it was a 0-0, the monkey gets on your back about, have you scored a goal yet? And, you don't want to go scoreless for a season and you don't even want to be thinking about that. So at least that's done with and they can move on from here. But it's a tough ask playing away from home. It's a young team,
exactly, playing away from home and having to build a level of cohesion. Like it's tough. And I nobody expects them to be winning, no one's expecting them to win one game, but they've done a little bit better. I want to just go to Emily Van Egmond just for a second before. I don't want to go on a Matilda's tangent as I do, but Tony Gustafsson has got to look at the way she played for Newcastle. So high up the field, allowing her to create and be that type of player that she's always been. He's got to be wondering, she's playing like this. Obviously, it's a different level of quality, obviously, but the way she plays football at her best is always higher up the pitch. Has he got to be, if she puts in a few more performances, especially when she goes back to America and she's playing high up the field and she's playing that great football that we know she can, she has to go, why am I playing her so far down the pitch? So far back, sorry?
I think it's a long-standing issue for multiple national coaches and it comes from maybe paucity of options in that area. I can't imagine that this is the first choice, that this is why they're doing it. I think it's in regard to let's get our best players on the park and it doesn't really matter where they play, which I think has been proven time and again to be the case for the Matildas. But before we go, Pokuah, I do want to talk about this Adelaide United-Canberra match. And I have a few tips for the broadcast team.
Let's. I want to hear it, Josh. Come on, let's go.
So I think the A-League women requires a level of professionalism and respect to the competition and maybe research that was not
What was the first,
provided.
at the start of the season, Josh, what did I ask for? I asked for commentators to know the players' names, which we didn't get in the first round of the A-League Women's. I asked them to do their research, and I asked them to bring good energy. A little bit shaky.
Who is Michelle Haywood?
Josh?
That's what I want to know.
Who's one of the best goal scorers the A-League Women's has ever seen? How can you not know her name?
You can excuse one slip of the tongue, but this commentator was repeatedly referring to her as Michelle Haywood instead of Heyman.
Did she change her name, Josh, that we didn't realise?
Not to my knowledge. She was the story of last season.
Her
Wasn't
renaissance.
she the Julie Dolan medalist last year?
I just think that sometimes a simple... I'm not a fan of Wikipedia, but sometimes a quick Wikipedia search and maybe even Google saying the name out for you might be needed for something. I don't want to go, fully insane because it happens. Sometimes people make mistakes, but I think sometimes it looks like if you don't treat the competition with respect, if certain commentators were doing A-League men's games, they wouldn't be out there getting these players' names wrong. You need to
they wouldn't be allowed to get away with it either.
They wouldn't be allowed to get away with it. You need to show the league the respect. If the A-League is going to go the A-Leagues, you need to show the respect and show it the same level of appreciation you show the men's league. We've seen with Paramount having A-League women's, but having the A-League on their website. We've seen Twitter mishaps. When is women's football in Australia going to be relevant for people to go, I care about women's football and I'm going to show it the respect that it says. These are the little steps. Before we go for the big steps in those FFA Cup situations, these little steps, these are the things we're talking about. And these are, as a young female, this is what I care about. I want these little things to be done properly. That's just my tangent.
You've had your rant. I think you've gone early here because I've got two more examples of faux pas from that game.
Josh, I'm tired, man. I'm tired. I'm sorry.
So, repeatedly, there was Haywood.
Yep.
Anyone can have a mental blank. It happens when you're in front of a microphone. It's hard. I understand. There was a big ruckus the other week for Adelaide when they were repeatedly referred to as the Lady Reds on commentary, which hasn't been their nickname for a few years. Yes, it's an outdated piece of information. It was previously correct about 5 years ago. But
if it changes, you need to change with the...
That wasn't the issue this time. When you're lining up for a free kick, what's a lady wall?
Josh, I think I missed that. Because now you've said it to me, now I feel angry.
I don't know what a lady wall is.
It leads to a bigger problem, like a real lack of care and lack of almost thinking that people aren't watching, so I don't need to show it that level of. And maybe that commentator had a bad day that day, and I don't want to pile on, but
I do.
you most certainly. But I like to. I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway, but not a lot. This is the second game. Don't get it wrong in the third. You shouldn't even get it wrong, to be honest. You should have a level of professionalism that your notes...
That's just disrespectful in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And because I want to end on a laugh,
do we have any purrs like we had last week?
This is another mishap from the commentary, but this one's a bit of a funny one.
Okay.
And I almost want to say language warning. It's a bit of a Kasuke Honda moment. So, kids in cars, cover your ears.
And look at that. Just fucked it in the back of the net from a long way out.
What did I say?
What was that?
What?
She what?
She what to say? I don't know. Are we allowed to play in the station?
Have you ever thucked one from outside the box?
I don't think so.
You've gone straight through it?
I don't think I ever will, to be honest. But you know who... Josh, I don't know what that is. But
I don't know if we can play that. We might lose that broadcast license if we play that again.
But I'll tell you a great thing from that Adelaide Canberra game. Nanak, I don't want to pronounce her name wrong just because I haven't looked at the name properly. But that first Adelaide goal, the Remy Stevenson goal was my favourite goal of the weekend. But Josh, I don't know if you've seen it.
The Nanako Sasaki goal?
Thank you. See how I waited for somebody else to say it to get it right before I tried to pronounce it.
It would have been a little hypocritical.
Honestly, I'm not trying to embarrass myself on air.
Okay.
But her goal, worldy. Absolute. But the Remy Stevenson one was it reminded me of when Aubameyang used to know how to score goals. It was quite nice.
We've got a little Japanese contingent at Adelaide this season with Riona Amiya making the move over from South Melbourne as well. So one to keep an eye on. That's an interesting one. That was a great game. A winner in the 91st minute is always exciting, but good for Adelaide to get off to a winning run, given that they were thumped in week one. They clearly weren't as bad as the scoreline suggested. Exactly. I think this result goes some way to proving it. But we're almost out of time, Pokuah.
We are.
Any games you're looking forward to in the coming weekend before we go? Because it's another big round.
It is. It is a big round. I'm excited for the Brisbane Melbourne Victory, maybe because we had two guests from those clubs on. But I'm also actually excited to see City versus Adelaide because for me that's actually a relatively even game because City are still building their fitness and as Rado said in the press conference that, you know, they hit a wall and he admitted they hit a wall because it's very early in the season. So I think if City can play at a team who are more of their level, can they even that out, that spread of consistency in the game, and can they pull out their second victory of the season?
I have bad news for you.
What?
Simultaneous kickoffs of those two games you mentioned. You're going to have to split screen that one.
You know what? I think my TV can do it. It's okay. LG, we'll figure it out.
That's all we've got time here from Radio Dove. From myself, Josh Parrish, and Pokuah Frimpong. It is goodbye for now.
Pickett, she lays it off. Teresa Pokuah.